Okay. So, welcome to Cub's Corner. I think we are online. At least I hope so. But who knows? So, yes, another Cub's Corner, and this time with, as usual, with Greg. He's setting up something, so he's
I'm here.
going to. Oh, cool. Yeah, nice. Cub's Corner, and this time. Oh, what's that? Another echo. Nobody to put it on, to blame it on. Yeah, this time Cub Syndrome versus Wave Greg. It's a hint on the last two reviews I did. Here, the Hamburg Syndrome and the Wave. And also it's the one is a German property, Hamburg Syndrome. It's a German movie, and the Wave is an American movie and book, very popular one. It's even taught in schools and so on. But we go a little bit into that a little bit later. So I would say, yeah, what's on the plan, Greg?
Right?
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody's had a chance to see your video.
Yes, that would be nice if people got the chance to see it, that they know what we're talking about. But if not, they
could always watch it afterwards.
Yeah, they can watch it afterwards. And so, yeah, I would say, well, what do you think? Or what do we start with?
Well, I don't know. What do you want to start with?
Of course, here offending Magic because he's here. So it's again a stream with my friends and Magic. Yeah, no, I'm just making joke. We are very, very good friends. But every time when I bring that up, he says he gets offended by when I say that. So,
I don't blame him.
I don't understand that. Germans are friends with everybody. You can ask everybody in the world, especially our neighbor countries.
Right?
And trustworthy. You can ask the Russians about that.
Well, we've got various movies that have come out. We could discuss those because we basically do a pop culture segment. We've got all kinds of stuff going on in the news.
Oh yeah. It's so much. There's so much going on right in this moment. So yeah, I would say you decide which direction we go.
All right. Well, did you? I think you saw the Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt.
Yes.
And what did you think of it?
I was not a fan at all because of two things.
Because it was fun.
No, first off, I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Pratt as an actor. I couldn't stand him in Jurassic World, and also not in the follow-up or the one before or whatever. And yeah, so he think he's kind of mediocre. I don't see him as a lead in a movie. But the thing that where it completely went off the rails for me with this movie was the time travel logic, because there was none. There was no logic, no rules, nothing. They just made things up as they went along, kind of. What was my feeling? But if you like, Greg, you can tell the people what this movie is about.
Well, okay. We've got Chris Pratt as a ex-Army Special Forces guy or something, and he's retired, and now he's teaching and waiting for another job and things like that. And suddenly they're watching a football game, and it's interrupted by time travelers from the future, there's a future war. We've been invaded by aliens, and they need to draft the people from the past.
Yes, and they choose people who don't affect the timeline, kind of, because, of course, if they would just drag people from the past, they wouldn't get born themselves, and they would change the timeline or history.
And I can see your problem with that, because it's not just who you take; it's the interactions of the people from the past are going to affect. Well, let's just say you meet a girl, and y'all go out and whatever, and you have a kid later. If your interactions with that girl are changed, then the timing of when you have relations with her change, and probably the person that gets created, if one gets created, changes. So yeah, there's some problems with the whole timeline theory.
Yes,
but
and
that's almost
also
always the case.
the fact that time travelers even show up affects the time, because are there?
Certainly.
Yeah, because let's when you think this through, they came to this point where they have not enough people to put them against the aliens, but this was in a timeline where they didn't go back. But in the moment they go back, they change the mindset of the people of the past. Now the people know, oh, time travel, we are going to invent time traveling and blah blah blah, which maybe makes time traveling inventions that they get it further.
Well, it's not just that. You would think that if you know there's an alien invasion coming, you would up your game with your weapon system.
Yeah, which kind of do.
Look at, for instance, World War II. Look at the weapon systems going into the war and coming out, or even the American Civil War, where we invented all kinds of Gatling guns and
Greg,
this
in the
and
movie,
that.
they kind of do that anyway, or not? Don't.
Well, the extreme stress of a war usually creates geometric leaps forwards in weapons technology, and if you put extinction level event on that, I would think, and you got 40 years or however long it was between them coming back, that gives you a tremendous amount of time to have a lot better weapons when they actually arrive.
Yes,
so I'm just saying that we would have much better weapons than what we could bring back with us from 40 years ago. It would be like, going back to get people with muskets to help us fight the frickin' Nazis or something. It wouldn't be helpful.
Hey,
I'm sorry to use Nazis.
They were just misunderstood. You know that.
I know. I don't know why we always use. I should say the Japanese or something.
Bad guys for some
I don't know
reason.
why we always go to them as the traditional bad guys.
But the thing is, the movie does that even. When I got that right, don't they use this time travel technology also to buy themselves time to make a second machine or something like that, and then at the end they go where the aliens landed and where we get this part.
Well, they investigate, and I hate to ruin the movie for everybody, but they go back, and I think there's something about the soil or the ice or something that indicates that it came from a certain segment up in Siberia. And they determined that the aliens didn't land 40 years in the future, that they landed like 1,000 years ago. And so they've been buried in the ice all this time. And they go to find the ship or multiple ships, I forget, and they attack them before they have a chance to wake up. Apparently, because of global warming, which is primarily caused by Cub.
Yeah, this global warming shit. It was also something.
They always find a way to slide their little propaganda messages in there. And who knows? Maybe there is a climate change going on. But the question is whether we have been the cause of it and whether we can affect the change, especially if you've got people like China who really aren't going to go along with your program anyway.
Yes,
doesn't matter what you
anyway,
do.
it really doesn't.
You're doomed. We had a mini ice age a few hundred years ago, so the climate is going to change. I don't know. I didn't want to get into all that, but anyway, it's part of the movie. Apparently, the rising temperature causes them to melt, and that in the future that's why they get out. So I'm not sure if they got another time machine so much as they decide to do something about it here and now.
Yeah, it was a little bit confusing, and
And I thought you were confused, but all that said, I'm going to put this down as a fun summer popcorn movie. You're not supposed to spend all your time analyzing time travel movies. You're going to go crazy that way, Cub. You're supposed to sit back, pop some popcorn. It's summer. You got aliens. You got Chris Pratt. Okay, he's not great in Jurassic Park. He's not great in a lot of stuff, but he's pretty good in this. He's better. I think he's coming along as an actor. In another like 10 years, he might actually be good. It took quite a while for like Tom Cruise to grow on me. I didn't think he was good in his early work, but by now, he's a decent actor. So
yeah,
and
but
it depends on the
sorry,
role. This isn't a serious movie.
no, sorry. For me, this movie, when I watched it, it
You didn't have
reminded
any
me.
fun?
No, I didn't have any fun because it reminded me on much better movies constantly. It reminded me of the movies it stole from. So for me, they had some scenes in mind that they want to show. Something like when the future people arrived, because it's an impressive scene, and also when they fall here from the sky and many gets killed, it's an impressive scene, and also here in the some of the action scenes and the ending here with the ice, which reminds on the thing from another world. And so they had this.
It did. It reminded me of the thing too, the original, and like you say, the thing from another world. That was a great callback. I
Yeah.
considered those to be callbacks, homages to the great
Yeah, but if
movies.
you're a lazy script writer, you just put in there as much crap as you can and made a story up around it, and then say, "Oh, it's a homage." No, sorry, I'm the
Yeah,
original guy,
nine.
content guy, and so for me, is this cheap rehash, which also the effects, they looked awful for me personally. I couldn't stand them, and the story
With
was,
the creature effects or which effect?
oh, the creatures were not really imaginative, and also I didn't understand why they were even a threat, because they didn't have any special powers or something like that. Or did I miss something? They
Well,
were
they were
just,
fast moving and they could throw those spiky things.
yeah, okay, but please, I think you have a better knowledge of, for example, the U.S. Army than I have. Uh, don't you think
Perhaps.
they would this would be really a problem for them? These
Well, it would depend on
creatures?
how many they are, and we're talking the Army 40 years in the future. By then, God knows they're on the downward path right now. I'm not really sure how good our Army is going to be by then.
But please, when we go from today's
And you
standards,
saw the people they were bringing from the past to do the battle they were disorganized. It's really not fair because of, like you say, how they arrived. They fell from the sky, and most of them were killed, except for a
yeah,
few.
yeah, which
And
makes
the
no
and the
sense
few that
at
were
all.
left were overwhelmed.
Yeah, and it makes no sense at all, this tactic. Why even put them directly into the battle? Why not put them first safe anywhere and then go with them to the battle or
Well,
something
there
like
was
that?
another plan. Apparently, they had several more days of training, and then the what do you? I'm not sure the term for it. The receiving station was going to be wiped out, and they weren't going to be able. This was going to be the last transshipment of any personnel they were going to be able to do, and something went wrong with it. That's why they all materialized above skyscrapers, and then they basically landed flat. So there was a
Yes.
problem. It wasn't according to plan.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe if there are not enough people, they should have just tried to stimulate the past people, kind of go into the past and tell them, hey, get more kids, have more sex or something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, the people they choose to get them to the future. They just should
Sounds
have
like a
told them,
German solution.
hey, get a girlfriend and make some children or something like that. That would be more useful, I think.
Oh, that's true. So overall, you give it a thumbs up, and I do too.
No, I don't give it a thumbs up. I give it a thumbs down because it is not a fast, fun popcorn flick, as you say, from my point of view. We are here exactly like Siskel and Ebert, or what's these two critics.
Yes,
they were often not agreeing on things like that. And I'm going really this road. For me, it's a thumbs down because it was not fun ride. For that, it was just too long. It wasn't. It was over 2 hours or not.
I didn't look at my watch. I was having fun, but
Yeah.
I can say that it's not a great movie. But they don't make a lot of great movies. It didn't insult me. It didn't make me mad. It was just a fun little streaming movie that I think probably worth the watch if you're bored.
No, I would say watch the original ones they stole from. They are much more entertaining and have a much
those are
higher
great movies.
rewatchability. For example, just the thing alone, it's really when you don't have a compelling story like with this one, because the story they really did not put much thought into the script. Even it was a $200 million movie or 150 million or something like that, and I don't know why they spent so much money for a TV movie. Anyway, I think this was a direct to Netflix thing or not.
I don't think it was planned to be a direct to Netflix movie. I think they were going to release it theatrically, but they decided that they could get more money from Netflix because of the shutdowns and stuff.
Yeah, and for me, this movie is one of these typical problems I'm always talking about. It's just you have action scenes, you have a story that doesn't make any sense, and that's it. It's really and it's the monsters didn't. They were not really that threatening, and also they were stupid, kind of. I didn't see the master plan behind their goal. Anyway, what was the end goal? To just kill everybody, or what? I don't understand. Why were
They
they
had
here
they
in the
had a
first
mother
place?
creature, and I mean, it isn't like they wrote down something. You didn't really get to communicate with them, but they were destroying all life on Earth. That wasn't them, not just humans, but everything else. Which it would seem to indicate that that's a losing situation, and their huge population. It's kind of it doesn't make a lot of sense because they're gonna all die too once they run out of food.
Yeah, and if you want to see a movie just like that, but much better made, you can even watch Independence Day, because in Independence Day you have also this aliens, also this attack, and so on. You don't have this stupid time travel plot, but at least it makes sense.
Well,
Makes sense.
that Independence Day was another summer popcorn type movie.
Yes, this I would even consider as that. I watched it in the cinema back then. I'm not the biggest Independence Day fan, but at least compared to this one, it was a real masterpiece, I have to say.
It was one of the first movies where you got like the destruction of the buildings and the White House. That was some of the early CGI where you had every movie does it later where you have this mass destruction, but really you hadn't seen that up until that time, and so it was kind of fun because people wanted to see. I know it's hard to say. They wanted to see the stuff destroyed by the aliens, and I remember the hippies or whatever hanging out. Oh, welcome aliens, and then and boom, it destroys them. No, everybody around me just laughed out loud at that stuff, and they also laughed when the White House was destroyed, and so.
Yeah, and they put very much effort into
And you see,
this.
Brent gave it a fair chance. He walked out 10 minutes in, which there you go. So he didn't
Yes.
really see the movie.
Yeah, and by the way, the effect with the White House back then, this was a model that they destroyed, and it was very elaborately made. They put very, very much time just making this.
You could tell the detail.
Yeah,
it was well done.
yeah, it was
I can.
really a
It
cool
was Fourth of
destruction.
July, so
Yep.
it was at the time. Who was it? Will Smith was a big actor, and they had a big campaign for it, and everybody got a buzz and went to see the movie. And the person I was with was really happy to watch it and laughing the whole time. And a lot of times, I'm affected by how much the people I'm with are enjoying the movie. If they're enjoying a movie, I'm not Brent. I'm not going to say we must go. I am offended 10 minutes in. I mean, come on. The other guy's having a lot of fun. You can just hang out and it things are more fun when you're with people who are having fun. I can't
Yeah,
explain
but
it.
you forget Brent is a British guy, and
Yeah, no.
he walked out 10 minutes into the movie because the White House didn't get fast enough destroyed for him.
Oh, he
Uh,
said he didn't leave, but I thought he said he walked out 10 minutes in. Oh,
Oh,
he
okay.
nearly walked out. Okay.
And he nearly walked out. I think he constantly was watching on his clock, kind of. Oh, when does this stupid White House gets destroyed? I want to see the shot in the trailer.
Okay. So he gave it a chance and he didn't like it. That's fair. But if he'd watched it with my buddy, he probably would have liked it. So, but I see what you're saying. And I would put Independence Day into one of those kind of a silly summer popcorn movie. I don't know how else to describe them. Yes,
Yes,
there's all kinds
yes,
of
and,
problems with
and
it,
it's a real
but
pity that
there
they.
were parts of it that you enjoyed. It's like you were saying, the callbacks to these other great movies. I enjoyed those callbacks. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's like the thing
Hey,
and
Greg,
that doesn't usually work for me.
Greg, and it's really a pity that they never made an Independence Day Part 2. for
Oh
for us,
God, yeah,
it
it was
doesn't
so bad.
exist. It doesn't exist. So I'm glad there's no Independence Day Part 2 out there.
Yeah, you can
So
see the difference. The second one was almost unwatchable.
yes,
So
it was almost unwatchable, and
so
yeah, but
if that's how Brent sees the first one, I certainly understand.
okay, and so I will say something positive about Here Tomorrow or World whatever.
All
At
right.
least it's better than Independence Day 2. I
Oh
would
yeah.
watch it over Independence Day 2 anytime.
And it
So
came out like in 2021, so we've got so many bad movies right now. I want to try to recommend some stuff that I like. I could just sit here and oh, everything's crap and rah rah rah. I don't like doing that. I'm watching stuff and trying to. There's lots of old movies I could recommend, and I've done my Elky summer movies, which I'm really enjoying those. But those are older movies from long ago, 60s and 70s. And I would like to be able to recommend some stuff to people that they can enjoy now.
yeah, and
Did you get
today
a
we are able to do that even for first time, kind of since a while, that we can even recommend a new movie, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do. I went out of my way. I'm not even mentioning all the ones that I watched that, oh God, were terrible. That I was
yeah.
hoping that half of them were good and the other half was terrible. I'm not
So
even going to talk about them because
uh,
it's just
uh, I just want to
so many bad
gloss.
movies.
I want to
Go
gloss
ahead.
just over them a little bit. We don't have
Oh
to
yeah,
go
you can
in
we
depth
can talk about them.
with them, because first off, I watched this Jungle Cruise shit here with Dwayne Johnson, and it was really boring. I It looked fake. People compare it to Pirates of the Caribbean, but even the fifth part I thought was not that bad as this Jungle Cruise shit. For me, the story didn't work at all. Didn't make any sense at all, as usual. And
So
I
what was the
don't know.
basic story and what bothered you about it?
The basic story, there was this woman that wanted to get some what do you call it? A thing. Wanted to get a thing that makes immortal or something like that, or heals wounds or something like that, which is just in the jungle. And this Dwayne Johnson guy, he is the leader of. It's kind of like Indiana Jones with a woman as a kind of a lead. She also pretends the whole time she's like a man. She wears trousers, and they spend much time to highlight that she's this independent woman in the 19 I think plays out 1920 or something like that. In a time where
that's pretty common now. They're going to do that.
yeah, and also she had a gay brother, and they also made clear that everybody got that. And yeah, so and Dwayne Johnson is at the end even a kind of a love interest for her, and they don't have zero chemistry. So it's completely unbelievable. And also, it turns out that this Dwayne Johnson guy, when they want, first of also the main villain is a German guy. He's from it's not a Nazi because this was before World War II, but he's from the Reich, Reich before that, before the Nazis, the German Reich. I think he was a famous German something, I guess. I already forgot. And there are also some ghosts that it's a little bit like Pirates of the Caribbean. There are also some ghosts that try to get revenge. They have a curse on them, and Dwayne Johnson is one of these ghosts. But he could escape and could prison the other ones. And this German guy frees them, these other ones, because he wants his artifact or MacGuffin, whatever. And yeah, this whole thing, I thought it looked awful.
Sounds like a JJ type movie with a MacGuffin.
Yes, it is. It's constantly, there are many MacGuffins in it, and the effects, they look so bad. These CGI effects, it's just not fun to watch it because everything is CGI in it. The animals, here the ghosts, of course, and the jungle partially, and yeah, for me there was nothing. It was just a CGI crap whatsoever, and Dwayne Johnson was horribly miscast because in this kind of role, in the Indiana Jones type kind of role, you really need an Indiana Jones type kind of character, not some big dude who is kind of unbeatable anyway. That it's not fun to watch him because if you have a character like Indiana Jones who is not always the biggest and strongest guy in the room, then he has to come up with smart solutions when he gets into a fight or something like that. But not Dwayne Johnson. He's Dwayne Johnson. Nobody can mess with this guy. So it was really a boring thing to watch him. And there's even one scene where he sacrificed himself, kind of. He does that a few times in the movie, by the way. First time he does that, it comes out that he is a ghost. He's one of these ghosts, but he's not rotting like the other ones because he has the star power, and that keeps him from looking ugly like the other ones, I guess. So, yeah, but I don't want to say anything more about this movie. It was just bad.
Did you get a chance to see the other streaming movie I mentioned, Becky, the one with the
What was the name? Becky?
Becky. Yeah.
What was the movie? No,
It was with Kevin James. It wasn't a great movie. Just kind of a little. It was okay though. I mention it because they have they have. I was reading Brent.
Okay, Greg, tell us a little bit about Becky.
Okay, so Becky, typical teenage girl, fighting with her parents. Her mom has died, and they go off to the country and they meet their stepmom. And the first part of the movie is pretty boring with her, acting out. And then you have Kevin James who's acting totally against the type of character he's built up through the years.
Yeah,
Instead
and
he's
for the
like this.
people who don't know Kevin James, it's the guy from King of Queens.
Right, and he's done a number of pretty mild movies. What was he in where he was a security guard?
Yeah, this Adam
Mall
Sandler shit.
Cop,
Yeah,
wasn't that it?
yeah, yeah. Mall
Yeah,
Cop 1 and 2, I think, and
yeah.
also
And the first one was okay. The second one was really bad. He's
he
not a
plays
great actor.
he
He
plays
has a
always
niche.
with this fat thing because he's a fat guy, and so there are many fat jokes, which I
Right.
can't stand
That's
in
him.
this movie.
He's got this one little niche. He's not a good actor, but the reason I mention it is because he's totally out of his niche, and I wonder if they've even got a space for somebody like Kevin James now, because he hadn't been working, and he in this one he's kind of a skinhead, uh, bad guy. I think he literally has a swastika tattooed on him. You're right.
So
Right.
he's the good guy.
In some corners.
Clearly.
And he breaks out of prison with his other guys, and they run into the house in the country where this Becky lives, and they end up killing her father right in front of her, and she breaks out into the woods around the house, and then they have a series of encounters where that she like murders these people one after another, and Kevin James actually gets chopped up with a lawnmower by her, which I mean,
Oh, cool.
right, to me, it was kind of cool in that it's just a totally different kind of movie, and to see him as this super bad guy who gets chopped into mincemeat by this little bitty girl. It was another, I don't know if you call it a fun summer popcorn movie, but kind of an interesting, twisty movie that I didn't expect that to be what it was from what it started with.
Okay, it sounds
So
much
if you
more
like,
entertaining than the Tomorrow thing. I should have watched that instead.
I think you would have actually maybe liked it. I did put it in the list, but I don't think you saw it. You know how
Yes,
that goes.
I probably I overlooked it because I had so much to do in the last weeks, and so yeah, sorry. Next
That's true.
time.
You've had some adventures.
Yeah, Cup on tour.
Cub on tour. Cub does Berlin.
Yeah, for example, and yeah, but sounds interesting. Maybe I give it a watch if I think of it, and yeah, and I also saw another, but this time again a bad movie as usual, but this is a new kind of bad. I think it's the worst
Right.
movie of the year, maybe the worst movie of the decade even. I saw Space Jam 2. And I get now the connection from Jess because Jess said it's kind of it's the unused script of Tron 3. Greg, could you see Space Jam 2?
I saw part of it. It was so bad it was hard
You,
for me to get through it.
you have no idea.
It
I
was
watched
so
it.
bad.
I watched it completely, and it is probably the most unwatchable movie. I can't even remember a movie that was as unwatchable as this one.
Birds of Prey was really bad. Was it worse than Birds of Prey in your opinion?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
it was worse than Birds of Prey. It was even worse than the first Suicide Squad, because you have, like these other movies like Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad, you don't have really a story that makes sense. But with this thing, you don't have any actors. You just have this uncharismatic guy, which is constantly called best super sports guy on this planet or whatever, who pretends to be like Michael Jordan in the first Space Jam. But Michael Jordan, he was kind of entertaining because everybody knew Michael Jordan in this time. Even I'm not into basketball or into sports in any way, but I knew exactly who was Michael Jordan. And also, I have heard of the thing that Michael Jordan wanted to end his basketball career and started this baseball career. This was a big thing back then, and the movie reflects that in the first Space Jam. So, and also, I thought it was very well done from technical point of view, where the animations and the real life stuff go hand in hand, which I thought was fitting. Also, the gags were okay, and I'm talking about the first one, not this Space Jam.
Wasn't that back in like 94 or 95? At least that's when
Yes.
he retired
Yes.
from basketball and then came back later, I think.
Yes, and also it has a very good soundtrack, the old one, and you have every aspect which made the old one the classic it is, or at least an entertaining movie. You have it reversed in this one. Every aspect. They don't even deliver on the title, because it is called Space Jam, but they are neither in space nor I think jam is what stands jam for? Is jam for the music or something like that?
It has different connotations in American slang. It could stand for jamming the basketball into the hoop. It could also stand for a musical, session. Like
Yeah.
you might in those days, if you knew somebody who was in a band, they would say something like, "Oh, we're gonna jam tonight."
Yes, and so
that would normally be how that would be used.
So the title is a lie, like Jess already pointed out here on Digital Pollution Stream. This thing is not a Space Jam movie, because they don't go into space. They go into cyberspace, or what you call it.
Yeah, it was cyberspace. Yeah, I saw that part.
Into the computer. So it doesn't deliver on the space part, and it doesn't deliver on the jam part, because the musical choices in this one are horrible. They are completely disconnected, just randomly put in there for no. The first one, you had, for example, a kind of theme in the movie with this I believe I can fly, and it reflected also what was going on in the movie, because at the end, Michael Jordan can make the final point, the final score, by flying, really, by stretching his arm and kind of flying, which makes sense. Really, they really put much thought in the old one, and everything fits from the score choice here, from soundtrack and the scenes and the story itself. Yeah, it was wonderful, and also you had some really good actors in there, Bill Murray and so on. But here in this one, you have just random cameos, and also it reminded me a little bit on here the Spielberg movie, which was also so awful. This also CGI fest. Can you remember that? Ready Player One.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you had kind of a Ready Player One combined with Tron, where they hump from one movie to another, from one property to another, and you have random cameos. Even Rick and Morty has a cameo there in this one, and also all the properties are just Warner Brothers properties. So it's just a Warner Brothers property.
So like the Jetsons, the Flintstones, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, things like that. It's more here like Harry Potter and Mad Max. Here the Fury Road one, and yeah,
all the movies and stuff, right?
Yeah, all the movies, and they crammed here this uncharismatic guy in there who is a famous basketball player, I guess, because I have never heard of him, or I even can't tell you his name. What is the most famous basketball player in the US today?
I don't know. There's several different ones.
Yeah,
James Harden's one, but it's not James Harden. This is
yeah.
I know who you mean.
Yeah, I can't even remember his name.
But
so
it didn't like the Michael Jordan days where Michael Jordan was winning, one after another, and everybody knew him, and he was undisputed. Well, not quite undisputed, but certainly one of the very top players.
Yeah, and also it was really kind of annoying that he was constantly called the biggest sport star ever, or of all time, or whatever, because when there are people out there, or there were people out there like Bruce Lee or Muhammad Ali and so on. That is really it's really annoying that they constantly were saying that, because he's not the biggest. I can't even remember his name, but you can ask anybody on this planet about Muhammad Ali, and he can tell you, yes, this is the biggest boxing star ever, or sports star, or whatever. So yeah, and even no, sorry. So the whole thing was completely CGI crapfest, and also they didn't have this effect here with real life and animation like in the first one, because here this main character was completely animated, and at least at the first time, and then after a while he was real life, and the other figures which were animated were 3D or something like that. You had this crappy CGI crap with them also, and yeah, and this basketball match was about his son or something like that. His son programmed it, and so they played the game of his son, and it was overtaken by an AI which lives in the Warner Brothers server. Yeah, so, or an algorithm or something like that. So this was,
and if he lost the game, then all the characters would be destroyed, correct?
Yes, there were 0 stakes, because this all played in a server from some stupid movie company.
Oh, they'd be trapped in the server or something, right?
Yeah, but
that was supposed to be the stake.
Yeah, but who cares? Really, in the first one,
I saw enough of it to where it didn't make any sense to me. Like you say, the stakes were basically non-existent. You didn't really care about this relationship between him and this boy who's supposedly his son. I didn't pick up any type of. Maybe the acting was just so bad, but the writing was terrible. The CGI was bad. I couldn't even make it through the movie.
Mighty Spock was bad. She was his mother, the mother.
That's right. That's right.
My God, she was so annoying. Oh my God, every scene with her. And I completely forgot who this character is. I thought, oh my God, who is this annoying woman? And then I remembered. I thought, oh my God, it's Mighty Spock again. No. Yes, this was a real shit show. probably, as I said, I would say the worst movie in the last 5 years
So
at
that's
least.
another thumbs down from Cub. You haven't liked anything on the show so far, right? Of all the movies, they've all got thumbs down.
Yes, but the next one,
But you said you might like Becky, so that's
yeah,
possible.
but the next one, that is going to be a positive review, I would
All right.
say, at least for my part. The Suicide Squad. Greg, had you the chance to watch it?
I did get a chance to watch it. I just watched
Yes.
it yesterday.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
Okay, so it's directed by James Gunn, and he directed other movies which I didn't like.
Guardians of the Galaxy, for people
Guardians of the
who are not
Galaxy.
so much into Gunn. He comes from trauma film, and made his career with movies like Slither after his trauma times.
I did like Slither. I thought he did a good job with that one.
And Super was also a James Gunn movie.
That was okay.
And yeah, but I think most people know him from Guardians of the Galaxy, I would say.
And I didn't like the first Suicide Squad movie. I thought it was, I don't know, poorly done in a lot of ways.
Yeah, by the way, for the audience, the first one was directed by another director. Aya is his name. It's more the serious guy. He's not so much into comedy and so on. And it's kind of independent, also independent film director like Gunn, but he's not for these crazy set comedy stuff. He's more from the serious stuff. I think I watched a few movies from him before Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad clearly is his worst movie. That's for sure. Also,
well, Harley Quinn and what was his name, Hancock, they were allowed to dominate the first movie, and it didn't work for me. On this one, I went into it thinking that I probably wasn't going to like it, and I was surprised. I actually liked the movie. It was not a great movie, but it was enjoyable. I'm going to give it yet another thumbs up and put it in my summer popcorn movie category again, because it's watchable. It's kind of fun. I would say at the very beginning, one of the things I liked and didn't like about it was, James Gunn has this way in the Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff of overusing the musical score, playing these soundtracks behind stuff. And the first two songs he picked, Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash, and the second one, I'm not sure who sings it, but my friend died. I can't think of the actual name of the song. Those two songs really worked well for me. But later on, he once again overused the songs in the movie, and he puts it behind some of the best action sequences. I think if he had like just used those first two songs and maybe use like one more song at the end of the movie, that could have worked really well. And I liked the movie, but I thought once again he overused the musical scores, where it kind of takes away from it. And the CGI was pretty well done. I even like the shark character, a land shark.
Sylvester Stallone, by the way.
He wasn't great, but he was kind of fun. I wish the CGI had been a little bit better, but he kind of grew on me. Maybe it's because I remembered the land shark from Saturday Night Live way back when. He would ring on the bell, land shark.
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree on that.
Go ahead with your review.
I agree on that, Greg. I was surprised that I liked it. And by the way, hi Burly Bear. Schön, dass du da bist.
Burly Bear.
Yeah, we have a German visitor here. The thing, as you said, you pointed out everything important why this movie works. I am not a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy at all. I even like the hated second one more than the first one. for some reason. Maybe because Kurt Russell is in the second one, and I'm a Kurt Russell fan. Maybe because of that, but in general, Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't work for me.
I think Chris Pratt kind of takes away from it.
Yes, Chris Pratt, and but for some reason, the Suicide Squad worked for me. I think James Gunn's technique, or what you call it, works much better in R-rated content.
Because I think one of the things they did that worked, you got Harley Quinn was supposed to be the big star. Basically, they had no big stars. You know, Sylvester Stallone was a shark and kind of a minor character, and he's no longer a big star. But in the first Suicide Squad, she was allowed to like dominate and destroy the movie because this crazy girl act is okay in small doses. It's like jalapeno peppers. A few of them are good in your chili, but if you take and dump, you know, half the chili is jalapeno peppers, you're not going to be able to take a bite without, you know, after 2 or 3 bites, you're like, whoa, that's too much pepper. Yeah. So what they did, they had a real Suicide Squad in the very beginning where they're putting them out there as a decoy to get killed, and she's part of that. So by using that method, she doesn't dominate the formation of the actual Suicide Squad, and she goes off on her own adventure, and you don't see her for a while, and so you don't get this over saturation of this crazy girl act, which really I think it gets old, and it's not very good. The acting isn't good.
And the
Go
thing,
ahead.
What really bugs me with this character, and it was also in the first Suicide Squad movie, she has no superpowers. And sorry, I don't understand why she is even part of the team, because she can attribute 0 to this team. She has not
been
any.
Killed. The only reason she's not killed is by the convenient plot device that people seem to fall in love with her and treat her like a princess and save her once again. That for me, the movie was going along really well, and then when it gets to Harley Quinn being captured, it really fell off for a while because it took me out of the reality. Greg, I didn't believe that the president of this country would she's not this super beautiful woman, and she's crazy and she's a murderess. Why would he, you know, love her that much and want to marry her? And of course, she murders him. And really,
yes, and also he says she's a big she has many fans in his country because she's anti-American.
Right.
But she is an American still. So if they are supposed to be these anti-Americans, it really doesn't make sense that he marries even an American woman. You can't.
No, that would make him unpopular. But
yes,
yeah.
That would make him unpopular, and also she's just a criminal. She is not anti-American. She is just a criminal. That's it.
That being said, after you get through that part, and she like breaks free of, she murders him and then breaks free, and she actually becomes more likable. Her acting improves. The writing is better. He found a way to integrate her into the Suicide Squad that we were kind of enjoying.
Yes, but Greg,
I was surprised. It's the first time out of Suicide Squad 1, out of Birds of Prey, and out of this one that she was actually starting to grow on me with the second half of this movie. I was like, okay, she has no superpowers. And I kind of like her now a little bit, not that much.
But the thing is, the reason why this is this way is because James Gunn cheated. He gave her superpowers. Because when you closely watch her fight scenes, then you see things like a super duper jump from the ground on the top of a building and things like that.
That's right.
And these are things nobody can do.
What were all those flower petals or whatever that were following behind her? When I saw those, that seemed to indicate she was able to just wipe out whole hordes of people. It was like that was a film somatic device to show that she had some kind of superpower, maybe from that spear she picked up. I'm not sure.
No, it was just a music clip. She when she killed these people, it was just timed with the music, and it's just a clip. It's just a music clip where the blood, instead of blood, you had these flowers.
Oh, I've seen that on some video games where instead of using blood, they have to use flower petals. Maybe that's what that's meant to represent.
Yeah, and I really don't mind it so much. As you said, it's really sad if they wouldn't stick so much to this stupid character, put in there a real Suicide Squad member. It could really be a great movie, a really, really great movie. But thanks to Harley Quinn, it's an okay one. I even would rewatch it. I liked it. It gets from me a thumbs up.
Hey,
a recommendation.
That's our first thumbs up from Cub.
Yes, and also I was so surprised about some characters which really grew on me. First off, Idris Elba was great. He made a Deadshot redemption for me, because Will Smith completely destroyed this character, and I know he's not Deadshot, he's supposed to be Bloodshot or whatever, but it's the same character. He has also a daughter like Deadshot in the first one. He's the shooter. But
his acting was terrible in the first movie.
Yes, his acting was terrible, and so Idris Elba completely blew the Will Smith part out of the water, and I liked the fact that they put him opposition in there with this.
Did you ever see what was it, After Earth, with Will Smith and his son?
Yeah. After Birth.
Okay, his acting in Suicide Squad reminded me of his son's acting in After Earth. It was that bad.
Yes, I agree on that. It's really running.
You can see the family resemblance there.
Yeah. So I liked the Cena part here. He was also a shooter like Idris Elba, and they were kind of in a rivalry or something like that. And also, you had the first time real arcs. Because Idris Elba, he starts
character arcs. You mean
character arcs? Yes, Idris Elba, he starts out as somebody who doesn't want to be a leader, and refuses to have responsibility. So and also there was this relationship with his daughter, which I really like, because he's a bad guy, and his daughter. 1 second. Ich habe gerade den Stream. Ich bin mitten im Stream. Yo, ciao.
That could be a werewolf attacking Cub.
So I'm back.
Was it a werewolf?
Yeah, it was a werewolf. It was DJ Turklander.
Germany is overrun with werewolves.
Yeah, no, it was DJ Turklander who forgot that I have a stream here. Yes, and what was I saying? The relationship with his daughter. He is a bad guy. He's a criminal, and it shows. They're shouting at each other. They can't stand each other. His daughter is also kind of becoming a criminal, and you get that as an audience, that she maybe just wants to be recognized by her father and doesn't know what to do in her age, and it really makes sense.
How did you like his advice? It wasn't not to steal. It was to set somebody else to take the rap.
Yes. This is typical for a bad guy.
That's good advice.
Yes. This is here in Germany. It's the normal advice. So, the thing is, you had some real criminals there. You are not supposed really to sympathize with them, but you do, because
they were believable. That was the difference. In the first movie and in Birds of Prey, the acting and writing made it, I guess, unbelievable to me. Maybe it's I can't describe it, but yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It's another thumbs up.
Yes, and also you can't. You really believed, for example, that somebody like Idris Elba or this Cena guy, that they were cold-blooded murderers. So there was a real threat coming from them. You don't mess with these guys. With Will Smith, you knew exactly from the first minute he's a good guy. He's a good guy, good heart, whatsoever. He's probably
Did you think like I did that they kind of overused the musical thing again?
yes,
Like he did.
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
So if they hadn't done that, it could have been a great movie.
Yes, this music overuse, it's clearly that he tried clearly to copy his success with Guardians of the Galaxy. And for me, it worked in some parts,
The
but
very
not that.
the first two times he used it worked really well, and like one other time it worked well. But I thought if they cut out these other ones, he was throwing it in left and right. I tried to count up how many times he used it. Like man, he just he can't help himself. It's like he's addicted to doing it. You know what I mean?
Yes, and when you do something like that, I can talk here from my own experience. In my videos, I try to have one theme in there, if it's a score or maybe a song or something like that, but just one theme. It's really unusual for my videos that I use many different soundtracks for the same video. Not because if I would do that, it would be much easier to edit them. But I try to avoid that because I want that the video has a special tone. It doesn't be all over the place with its tone, because you have a track that is kind of serious, and then you use a silly one, and it completely changes the tone of the video, and so I try to avoid that. But here in this movie, and also with Guardians of the Galaxy, this overuse of the tracks, you, this thing, it's really hard to that you have a melody for this movie, or a theme song or something like that when you do something like that, because it has so many tracks that it kind of yeah, what would you say? What is the theme of the movie, track wise?
Yeah, it diluted and then it took away from what I thought was a pretty good movie.
Yes, a good example
I
for
thought I was going to
for how
dislike
to
the movie.
a good
I went
example.
into it thinking I was going to dislike the movie, and I was surprised.
Yeah, me too. And a good example how to use one track in a movie which sticks is Breakfast Club, because everybody when he thinks about Breakfast Club, he thinks about Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me, something like that, and because it doesn't overuse so many tracks with this one. But here you have,
We may come back to that point.
yeah, and so yeah, but let's talk about some other positives in Suicide Squad.
Oh,
The
okay.
thing that most positively surprised me in the whole movie was really the starfish, because I thought it was very well done, and it is a silly character from the comic books. And for the people who don't know, it's the first it's in the first issue of Justice League. It's the first enemy the Justice League has to face, and at least in the comics, and it takes over the world, and everybody on Earth has this. Also, the superheroes, they have all these fish on their faces, and it's like with, not with body snatchers, it's more like with how can you compare it? Because the people are not dead; they are just in trance, or what you call it, and like Walking Dead, but not dead. Because at the end they can save the people, and these fish fall off the faces in the comic books, and so they can.
Well, in this movie, when the fish fell off, they were all dead, weren't they?
Yes, because they die in the moment when the fish gets on their face. They are really from this moment on, they are walking dead. They are zombies. And even if you can remove the fish from the face is destroyed anyway, and the people are dead. So this is a thing. I don't know. I thought it was not really necessary to destroy this, to change this villain, because the fish villain here, the starfish villain in the comics, he's cool because he also can come back several times. But if he kills the people with his fish, his little fish, then it's kind of too much. Also, it doesn't make really sense because he wants to control them. I don't see the motivation in killing them, because if you kill them, they're dead. So
I guess he was just using them as extensions of his will, robots or whatever. But yeah.
But for what?
I wasn't aware that the comics had him able to be alive again.
Yes, in the comics, the whole planet is under control of the starfish. So yeah, and also all superheroes.
I think they wanted to make the stakes higher, so that they could actually turn on the people. What's the lady who's in charge of the Suicide Squad? They actually turn on her and knock her out, although they don't kill her, and she's still in charge at the very end of the movie. But that was nice to see.
Yes, it was really nice to see.
And she's really unlikable.
Yeah, and also that they killed Boomerang, which is a stupid character. They killed him directly in the first minutes. I thought here this Ruka guy that he died. I was sad when he died, because I like this actor, and I really was looking forward to see a little bit more of him.
Yeah, and they started out with the Folsom Prison Blues, and it really set up where he was going to be an important part of the movie. So when they killed him off, that was shocking, and I was looking forward to seeing him too.
Yeah. So
they did bring back your weasel creature at the very end of the movie, who you had thought died at the beginning.
Yes, which I didn't understand, because
so you're going to get to see your weasel again.
Maybe if there is any continuation, because I think this film bombed in the cinema. Is it true?
It didn't do well.
No, it didn't do well, and this is really sad, because I'm sure if this would have been the first Suicide Squad, it could have changed the landscape of what we have now, the rivalry here with DC and Marvel. It could have gave DC an upper hand, because back then when
DC keeps having bad luck like that.
Yeah, because DC back then, I can remember Marvel here, the MCU and so on, had already its kind of its stale formula, and also they were bound by PG and things like that. So DC had a real chance to catch up. And then they announced the Suicide Squad. And for the first announcement, I was interested. But just till I saw the actors they were
Will
using.
Will Smith and Harley Quinn killed that movie.
Yeah. And then I got less and less interested in that. And also the movie turned out to be god-awful. So
the director was bad. It just, Warner Brothers does that.
Yeah, and so if this would have been the first Suicide Squad, I would really be interested in DC here, and also the other ones. I would have thought, oh my God, this is really a real alternative to the Marvel crap, which I
think the more people who see this movie, it could help DC.
Yes, but unfortunately, thanks to the circumstances, this is really, really bad luck. because so much crap from DC got they could trick the audience, getting high numbers here, like with this Wonder Woman boring shit, like with the first Suicide Squad, like with Batman vs Superman, and so on. So that's it. And with me, I wouldn't have watched the new Suicide Squad if it wouldn't have been for the review, because I was done. I was completely done with DC, and so that's
Yeah, if
really
you
sad.
hadn't asked me to watch it for the stream, I probably wouldn't have either.
Yeah, that's really sad, and most people don't get that. They just see the numbers. They see the first Suicide Squad made 1 billion or 890 millions, something like that, and the second one probably just 200 million, 300 million, who knows? But really,
Oh yeah, the common theme is that they didn't promote Harley Quinn enough, and that Will Smith should have been included. And those are the two wrong. Those are not the good takes out of this. Those are not true.
yes, it's in fact, if they would have kept out Harley Quinn, I can tell you, if they would have killed off Harley Quinn directly in the first minutes, like the other ones, and had really a complete lunatic Suicide Squad there, another character, a real character, which they could have built up in the movie to replace Harley Quinn, then it would have been really even better. I think the movie is still okay. Even with Harley Quinn in it is still okay.
I think part of the reason it's okay is they didn't have Harley Quinn in most of the movie. They moved her off to the side, gave her little side quest, and so she didn't dominate the dynamic of the group.
Yes, and
a crazy girl hanging out and being, I don't know what you describe it as. It gets old.
Yeah, it just gets annoying, because we know she's crazy.
It does.
Yeah, and she don't has any superpowers, but still she's constantly pretending like she's invincible, but she isn't. But she doesn't get the heat like the other ones. She doesn't get hurt and killed and things like that. No, she just gets in prison, and even when they torture her, it's not. It's really. I tell you, if they would have tortured somebody else who is not famous, famous character, it would be much worse for him. Like the people we saw were tortured here from the Doctor Who guy, which didn't have any faces anymore, and cut in half and things like that. So yeah, yeah. So I would say, what do you think? Are they going to make another Suicide Squad, or are they pretending that this is a flop, and so they have to go back?
I don't think we can tell yet. I think we got to see what the overall reception is. Initially, it doesn't look good, but theaters are not in a good place right now. It's possible that that it'll get good word of mouth. It's going to need good word of mouth, and it's going to need good DVD sales and things like that. But you're not going to see a $150 or $200 million one. What they need to do is something we've discussed previously, is they need to cut the budgets on these movies and make a Suicide Squad without Harley Quinn, without any big actors, without some super big director, and do it, for around 50 million, maybe 60, because that's going to be the new hallmark going forward. You're not going to be able to afford to make these $200 million movies. I don't think anybody's going to be able to spend that kind of money. I think Hollywood's been padding the books for many years anyway. I don't really believe you have to spend that kind of money. What Bone Tomahawk was made for just a few $1 million. How come you can make a movie for $4 million and these other movies have to spend 20 times that much? 100 million, 150, 200 million. It's ridiculous. The economic model that allows you to spend 150 or 200 million on a movie no longer exists. I don't think you're going to see the numbers that support it.
Yes,
So
I
you
think
may see
we
go ahead.
get. I think we get something like what we already had in the 50s and here in the early film times, where, if you can remember, you had back then also these huge big movies that costs millions, and some of them bombed, like Cleopatra, which led to the fact that these movies weren't made anymore. The return of these super expensive movies.
That's a good example or analogy.
Yes, and the return of the movie that was really expensive, and where they really put much money into it, was, I think, began with Star Wars. And Star Wars was not even an expensive movie. It was very cheap for what we get to see.
Well, the initial one, certainly.
Yeah,
They got more expensive as they went along.
yeah, they got more expensive as they went along, but still effective. They used the money very effectively, and it's you see every cent on the screen, because when you ask somebody, oh, what do you think? How much did Star Wars cost here back then, in 1977? And he would probably say, oh yeah, at least 50 million or something like that. But it was not that expensive. It was, I think, 10 or 11 million or something like that, which was expensive back then, but it was not nearly as expensive when you compare it to these newer ones, because it was not so much CGI in it and so on, and this is really what drives the costs nowadays. I guess that this Space Jam crap, I think also 100 million or something like that. I don't know. I have no clue, and I don't
it's
care.
very expensive. You're not going to be able to see the CGI fest anymore. I think these last few that you've seen, King Kong versus Godzilla, and you know, people complain that the shark wasn't good enough in the Suicide Squad. Well, you know, you better enjoy it, because you're not going to see them spending that kind of money again. It just isn't going to happen. And as for Star Wars, one of the reasons Star Wars was popular is because science fiction movies had been out, but they had been pretty depressing. Over and over again, you know, they were very depressing in the 70s. Uh, Star Wars was a fun, optimistic movie, even though you had battles and stuff. It was fun. You ended up with them celebrating at the end. You had hope. You had I don't know. It
Yes,
was a different kind of movie.
yes, and also Star Wars, the first trilogy, the original trilogy, it worked so well because it was really told. All three movies were really told like one big story. You had the beginning, the middle, and an end, which is nice. Went straight forward. It was not that much complicated, something like that. And in the middle part, you had, of course, the downfall, the depressing scene, and so on, with the hero's journey, and so on. So it was really, even all three parts together, you could see there is a real story that is told.
Do you think that was the first time they had done that? Can you think of another trilogy up to that point in history that had told a story in three parts?
Kind of. There were the Godfather movies, which began earlier.
The third part of that didn't come out until like the 90s.
No, it was, I think, 1987, the third one.
Well, almost
something like that.
1990. So that's 20 years later.
Yes, and
whereas you had Star Wars came out in 77. 3 years later, you had Empire Strike Back. 3 years later, you had Return of the Jedi. So within a 6-year span, you had the whole story told. Really,
Yes.
The Godfather and The Godfather 2 are really kind of separate from Godfather 3. I
Yes,
don't really consider that a trilogy. That was something that they tacked on 20 years later.
Yeah,
I
okay.
can't.
But the reason for that is, of course, Godfather 1 and 2 are Godfather the book. The book itself, The Godfather from Mario Puzo, who wrote the script also for the movies, is the story of Godfather 1 and Godfather 2.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's not really a trilogy. It's two movies out of one book, and then 20 years later they tacked on something else that really had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So
But
I'm not going to give you that as
I wouldn't.
as an
Yes, but
equivalent.
I wouldn't. Still, even if the third Godfather is not as good as the first two, it's still Citizen Kane compared to many other movies.
Oh yeah.
And we are here. This is complaining on a very high level, because Godfather 3 is still a very good movie in itself. It's very well shot. It has good acting and things like that. And the story is very interesting. It's a very good story also. But yeah, as you said, it's kind of tacked on. But still, this is a trilogy which began before Star Wars and ended after it. So it's still, even if the third, I
was
agree with
saying
you.
a trilogy up until that point. So since the third one hadn't been made, you can't say by the time the original Star Wars trilogy was done that Godfather trilogy hadn't it was still in the future.
Okay. A trilogy to that point, I can't remember anything. I couldn't say. This was
think of
really kind of
anything.
yeah. It was really kind of unique at first, and even with Star Trek, I think you could say Star Trek trilogy to that point, because
It wasn't really a trilogy. I mean, you got
yeah, the
the
first
first
too
three movies
separated.
don't end anything. Search for Spock isn't
Yeah, but wait
complete
a second.
until
A
part 4.
trilogy? No, part 2, 3, and 4 are a trilogy.
Oh, that's true.
And so, yeah. So if
2, 3, and 4 are a trilogy.
yeah. So and it's also in the same kind of in the not directly in the same time, but it's really just a few years from Star Wars, because the first one is from 79, I think. Second one is from 82.
Yes.
And the third one is from 84, I think.
Yep.
So really, it's kind of in the same time, like the Star Wars trilogy.
And then 86 and 89, I believe. And the last one came in 91, I think.
The last one you mean from no,
Part
it was
6?
80. Oh, part 6, yeah, but if we were
Part 5
talking
was
about
89.
yeah, but if we're talking about trilogies, I mean, no.
Oh, right. Well, we consider the first one separate. There were 6 movies, but it wasn't like there were 2 trilogies. Like you say, number 1 stands alone, and 2, 3, and 4 are kind of a trilogy, and 5 was Kirk's fever dream that doesn't really count. And then,
Yeah.
and then 6 was the conclusion.
Hey,
to,
don't forget Spock's half brother, Cyborg.
Right, Cyborg,
who is never brought up to that point and never brought up again after that.
Now Cyborg and this chick from Discovery is supposed to be his half sister, so they're like brother and sister. Shouldn't we have a Cyborg versus I can't even think of her name.
Mighty Spock.
Mikey, that's right.
Yeah.
Why they gave her a man's name?
I don't know.
Crazy.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Okay, maybe we should move on to the next one. We haven't talked about your wave. I'm Wave Greg here, and we haven't discussed your video yet.
Yes, the wave. I wanted to ask you, Greg, did you was that in your school time back then, that you talked about the wave book and this short movie of 42 minutes?
What's the question?
There's a movie, The Wave, 42 minutes. It's based on an article from a newspaper. And this article is about an experiment in the 60s, I think 60.
Conducted in an American high school.
Yeah, where teacher tries to show his.
And the TV movie was made in the early 80s.
Yeah,
and shown like on
82.
ABC, right?
Yes, it was made on 82, and after that, I think it was used in schools because it was the 42 minutes were kind of perfect for a school hour, because here in Germany a school hour is 45 minutes. And I thought maybe you have talked about this movie or the book.
Oh yes, I
because
was in high school at the time, and they played this in school.
Yeah, because the book was written after the script of the movie. During they made the movie, somebody also wrote this book based on the script.
Okay, so let me tell you how this went over in an American high school in 82. You have this teacher who's getting people to stand up, and whenever they answer a question, they have to like come to attention. That is not an American thing. There is no way that you were going to get American kids in the early 80s to go for this thing where we would tap our chest and throw out a salute. We would mock the teachers. If you saw, let's look at a couple of high school movies from that time. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where Spicoli and Mr. Hand. That's more. Let's imagine Mr. Hand is trying to convince Spicoli and the other classmates, and Spicoli's ordering pizzas. Now, we didn't order pizzas, but that's the exact kind of attitude we had. And the Breakfast Club. You were just talking about the Breakfast Club. Those two movies are closer to my high school experience than this wave thing could ever be. Now, the 82 high school special that your video references, it's set in the early 80s, but it's from like the late 60s, where this article and this teacher.
The mid 60s even.
Yeah, the mid 60s. So I can't say what high school students were like at that time, but I can tell you that American high school students are not the type to easily be led down a path of. Brent says, maybe, though America and Britain, among others, had nasty parties in their countries before the war, so the sentiment existed.
Well, yes, maybe. And also, Greg, I wanted to remind you of something.
Okay.
When you see the method that this teacher is using, didn't this remind you on military school?
Yeah, you might have been able to get away with this at a military school.
Yes,
but
and also
at a military school, these kids who get shipped off to military school, they're not living with their parents. They're subjected to. Let's look back at Full Metal Jacket.
Yes, Greg. I know. I'm not. I don't want to talk how realistic this is. I just want to point out that the style itself, this method that is used, if it comes to the method that Hitler himself used with his propaganda and so on, but also which is used in this experiment and then shown in the 80s movie, is kind of just reminded me just of military school. So because this same thing we already got in another movie in the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm not saying this couldn't work, and perhaps it did work to some extent in the 60s when they supposedly this really happened. And I see the kids now are a lot more willing to be indoctrinated. They don't question. They don't mock. We would mock our teachers openly.
Greg, did you see the similarity of this teaching style? This where every time when you see that in movies or in stories, They make it up like, oh, this is a revolutionary teaching style, this authoritarian teaching style. Because we
Yes.
also saw that in Kindergarten Cop. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger was a horrible teacher. Because he was not a teacher. He was a cop who had to pretend to be a teacher because his colleague, the woman he was supposed to work with, was ill. So he had to be the teacher, even if he is not a teacher. And then
Yes,
he
I'm not saying it's not possible.
and then he
This is
introduced
it's
this
actually
military.
worked.
Greg, he introduced the military style with the small children, with this really small children, and it worked also with them. Which the thing is, every time when I see that, I can't stand that, because of course, if you want to uh, uh, have control over a group of people, if you convince them in this that they follow orders and put down the individuum, or put the what you call it, they are not individuals anymore. They act like put the group over the individual.
Yeah, the
Of course,
Japanese are very big on group identity over individualistic.
yes, of course you get results like that. And of course you get also a group dynamic where you can use the group like in the military school, like we saw it in Full Metal Jacket here during the phase where they before they went to Vietnam. You get this group dynamic where even the group itself helps you against people who are not willing to go with the group. So
Well, I'll
it's
tell
for
you
me.
one thing that might have been a factor with the early '80s high school experience I had. America was a different place after Vietnam. They used that group identity and dynamic to send us off to this terrible war, and we saw our brothers and fathers and uncles and people come back from that, and they were like, whatever you do, don't go along with this crazy group dynamic. Don't. And there was an anti-military backlash, and it wasn't just military, it was the type of thinking that leads you down that road where you just obey the order. You're like, no, you know what, I'm going to want to know why I've got to go do this, and maybe I'm not going to do it at all. You know what, I'm going to go off and have fun. You do your thing, and I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to mock you and I'm going to laugh at you, even though maybe I shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't be trying to save the whole world. Maybe we're doing it wrong. Maybe we should just rethink all this. And I think there was a backlash against that type of groupthink in my generation. And I think maybe that backlash ended because of other factors as we got further away from the Vietnam experience. But there is absolutely no way this would have worked, and it came out. They showed this, and we literally mocked the showing of the film. And when he showed at the end, when he's like, "Oh, here is your great leader, Hitler," it's like, how stupid are these kids who are standing up and saluting each other and going by these rules? Remember, like in my circumstance, we had a Dungeons and Dragons club. I played soccer. I played chess. We we would drink and stuff after school. When we went to football games, we would have blasts. You each group. It wasn't like the Breakfast Club. It was, but it wasn't, because each little group wasn't like its own dynamic. And oh, we hate you because you're an athlete. Well, hell, I played soccer. I played football. I also was in Dungeons and Dragons and chess, and we hung out with the people who were just did rock and roll, and the other people were just country music. There was so many cross different relationships that it's hard to describe. There's absolutely no way you could suddenly say, "Oh well, we're all gonna salute."
Hey,
And
Greg, I was listening at both musics, country and western.
Yeah, right. Well, the big thing back then, you had rock and rollers and you had like country people, and then there was other type, new wave and this and that. But yeah, I listened to Johnny Cash and I listened to ZZ Top. That what I'm saying, there was so many crosses between these different groups. There was no way you could take and get all the sports guys to turn against like the geeks or something. That didn't happen. At least in my experience, we all got along great. There was no problem. And we certainly would not, if some stupid teacher had tried to make everybody into robots, we would have mocked him and made so much fun. We might have went along with it just enough to really make him look like an idiot.
Yes, but still,
Oh wait, we got
the
a comment
teacher,
from
the
Brent.
teacher,
Wait.
yes,
The techniques are little to no different to the church, cults, armed forces, and other groups. Repetition, control, and constant activity to not allow the individual to think much. That's true.
yes, and the story itself, how believable this is in the 80s, I don't know, but for sure it seems believable in reality nowadays. What we got with this pandemic which is going on, because people are really just order followers. At least here in Germany, I can just speak for Germany. And in my experience, this is our biggest problem. We have so many order followers, like you see in the story from the wave, which don't see the signs on the wall. They don't see that this mask is just another swastika. It's just a sign. It has nothing to do with protection of health or something like that. It's the sign of obedience. And so we go a little bit into the Cub syndrome, because in the Cub syndrome, I also talk about, oh no, or was it in the wave?
Oh, that's
Where I
right.
also talk about the here this experiment. What was the good? Not the Stanford prison one. The Stanley.
You did do an in-depth video. You got a lot of information in there. I
Yes.
just was commenting on how it didn't really apply to my high school. Would it have applied to your high school? Do you think?
Uh,
Do you think your high school would have went down that road if some teacher had tried to do it?
I don't think so. But I really can't tell, because
Maybe it was just our generation was more independent thinking.
yeah. And also here in Germany, you can't really compare that to Germany, even if it played out in Germany, the original. But
Because of what y'all went through.
but in Germany, it's not allowed to talk about these dark times. Also not on school. Of course, it is taught, but there is not a discussion over it. Even
Wow.
just kind of told. Nowadays, I've heard here from a student here last year that the teacher just showed them Schindler's List and made a test afterwards, and that's it. That's how this time is here taught to the people.
Well, that's kind of scary. The German people really, really suffered.
Yeah, no, but they kind of leave it completely in the dark. You get these official numbers, these official what happened. Kind of, oh, here, Schindler's List, it shows completely what happened. This is it, and that's it.
Well, those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it. Santiago.
Yes, and that's the reason why we are repeating it right now, because we are still not allowed to talk about it and make comparisons. When you make a comparison between the pandemic, what is going on right now, and what happened back then, you really can get trouble. You get blackmailed and even can face jail time. So
I think it's closer to like 1984, but I don't know.
Yeah, but 1984 is directly inspired from World War II.
I understand that, but it's
Yeah.
different. You know, it's different. It's very similar, but his use of the way they take over the language first. It's just way beyond this thing that we're experiencing now with the shutdown and the other stuff. It's just there's been stuff going on for the last 10 or 12 years. It's disturbing.
Yes, and yeah, the second thing, as I said, was the Milgram experiment, where I talked a little bit more about that.
Oh, is that where they shocked the individuals?
Yes, where they shocked the individuals, and the thing was, the shocking thing with the Milgram experiment was that somebody hurt somebody else just because he got the order to do it, and because this order giver told him he takes full responsibility when he was asked, the guy here in the white coat. So so it kind of, the Milgram experiment kind of shows, if you take off the responsibility from somebody with a stupid reason, like oh, I give you the order for some reason because I'm your elected leader, or I'm a scientist, or I have a white coat, or something like that, then people are able to hurt other people till the death. Because this Milgram experiment, 65%, and we are talking here about 700 people, 65% went through to the end. And the end of the experiment is when the candidate doesn't react anymore, has no life signs anymore. That's the
crazy,
end
isn't
of the experiment. And
And
just
these weren't high school students or something like the previous example.
yeah,
These
this
were
was
teachers and
the everyman. This was the everyman. They used the normal
fully grown.
average people, and as I said, just over 30% even questioned it. They went to a point where they said no more, but still, this was in the middle of the experiment. It was not that they right out said no, I'm not going to hurt anybody or something like that. Yeah, they went just half through the experiment, and in some point they just said, I don't do it anymore. And the crazy thing, it kind of represents what is going on right now, because I consider myself as part of one of these 30% who refuse, who say no. But most of the people don't say no. Most of the people go through with it, hurt other people, wear this stupid mask, get jabbed, here this lethal injections, and so on. So yeah, this is really a crazy thing, and a crazy coincidence with what is going on right now. Oh, and I think, oh my God, we lost Greg. He's not part of this experiment anymore, of this German experiment. Yeah, I hope he comes soon back. So yeah, talking a little bit more about the Hamburg syndrome. It's of course about this movie, the German movie, which is from 1979 and predicts kind of everything what is going on right now. It's called, by the way, it's just called here in the English version is called the Hamburg syndrome, but the German title, Die Hamburger Krankheit, is translated the Hamburg illness, if you would have translated it well, because it's not about a syndrome or something like that. It's about an illness that they can't explain, and they explain it away with a virus. They say 5 people die in the city Hamburg. It's I think a million people city or something like that, big city here, and they say, oh, probably they are killed by a virus because we have no clue why they are dead. So, and it's pushing all the things on which are going on in the story, and then they continue with curfews and isolation and contact tracing and things like that. And the movie is from 1979.
That was a really interesting movie. Let me read Brent's comment real quick. Brent says, the old adage of king and country or follow the state changed dramatically over the decades following the war. I think he means World War II. Either through new threats, the Cold War, or political cock-ups, as well as societal changes.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, but as I said, these last two videos are kind of connected here, the Hamburg Syndrome and the Wave, because the Hamburg Syndrome is more about the movies that predicted the kind of predicted the future. It's about TV series and movies like Utopia and the Star Trek episode where you have these addicts, this planet of addicts and the planet of drug dealers. And the drug dealers, they live off. They just have one product, this drug that they sell to the addicts, and they say it is a cure. So it's kind of, and also they are responsible for the addiction, because in the beginning, this other planet, there were no addicts there.
Well, it's a cure for the withdrawals you get when you stop doing the drug.
Yes, but first, before they could do that, they went over there and pretended that there is a pandemic. There is a.
Is that how they did it in Star Trek? You're saying?
Yes, that's how they did it in Star Trek. They went over there and pretended that there is an illness, a pandemic, a virus, something like that, and that they need this cure for it. And when they started taking the cure, then they had the real symptoms. Then they had, because they put all the symptoms, also from other diseases and so on, just put it on. They pretended they went to the other planet and said something like, "Oh, here you have here a serious problem." Pretended that there is a problem, and with the cure, the problem began. Because and this reminds me really heavy on what is going on here with the coronavirus and so on. Because first off, they put the virus thing on the flu, on the actual flu. They said, "Oh, it's not the flu; it's the super flu. It's a coronavirus." And then they started giving the people here this vaccinations, and then now the people who are ill are from the vaccinations ill. And so they say, oh yeah, no, this is another variant of the super flu. It's the Delta variant or whatever. So it's really kind of the same thing. Like, and also now they are trying to say to the people, oh, you need every year or every 6 months here in Germany. It's every 6 months, by the way, a vaccination. And without it, you are still in danger to get it or whatever. So, yes, it's exactly the Star Trek episode. Because also, like with my mother, she is now in hospital since yesterday because of the side effects of this vaccination. Because she got vaccinated and she has now blood clots. And of course, they say, no, it's the illness or something else. It has nothing to do with the vaccination, and which is a lie. But so I can speak now really from my own
personal experience. Huh?
Yeah, my personal experience, and yeah. So so much for the Cub syndrome and the Wave. They both. Yeah. so we have those out of the way. Yes, and so what's next on the plan, Greg?
Okay, so I've got you to watch another streaming movie that better reflects Germany today? Do you remember what it was?
The vampire one?
Yes, Blood Red Sky.
Yeah, that was interesting. That is an interesting little movie because it's made in 3 languages, and for a coincidence, these are all 3 languages I can speak. It's German, English, and Arabic. And yeah, this was very interesting. But Greg, tell tell us what this movie is about.
Okay, so you have a mother and daughter, or I mean son. Uh, they're getting on a plane in Germany. They're going to head over to New York for a special treatment. You see in flashbacks how the father of the son, her husband, was killed by a creature, which later we learn is a vampire, and she's going as you fly across the globe. You can time your flight so that you're in darkness the entire time. So she's timed it so that the sun won't be shining on this plane, and she can leave in darkness and arrive in darkness in New York. She's doing this because, of course, vampires can't handle the sun. Well, just bad
Yes,
luck.
yes,
The
because they sparkle in the sun, I think.
Yes, exactly. Especially German vampires. And she's German. The kid is German. They have Arabic people on the flight, and you have these terrorists, or I'm not sure what their ultimate goal. They're not really terrorists. They're more doing this for money, because I think the plot was that they're going to affect the stock market and short sell or something. At any rate, they had a plan, and they killed the air marshals, and one of the pilots was in on the thing. So I think the co-pilot. So they had access to the cockpit, and one of the stewardesses, the male stewardess, a flight attendant, I guess you would call that, was in on it, and they're a pretty bloody group. They're murdering people, but one of the people they murder happens to be Vampire Girl from Germany. And yes, Cub's right. They have people there speaking all different languages. I watched it with subtitles. I thought it was well acted. It's just a little independent horror movie, not made for that much money. A streaming movie, but a fun movie. Another thumbs up. Um, they they kill her, but of course she doesn't die because they use regular bullets, and she starts picking them off one by one, and then one of them decides to infect himself with her blood, and they start biting people all over the place, and fun ensues. What did you think of the movie, Cub?
Yes, I kind of liked it. It was entertaining. Um,
So it would
yes,
go in the popcorn movie category, right? Do we
yes.
finally have one?
This is a typical popcorn movie category.
Woohoo!
It's not. These are not movies I would put in my collection at any time, but I think they are watchable, and they, if you want to spend a few hours to get entertained without thinking too much, these are the perfect movies. It's this vampire movie and also this Suicide Squad one are really fun popcorn flicks you can watch and get
Well, that's
entertained.
what I meant by all of these ones that I've recommended today. They're not like Hanzo the Razor or something where you can go back 40 years later and say, oh, this really reflects the zeitgeist of this time. It's more like, hey, it's a fun little movie. You can't just rewatch old movies all the time. And we've got vamps on a plane, as Brent says, like snakes on the plane. You got vampires going crazy, and they land. Isn't it in London? How did you like how the London military reacts the British military. It's just, for some reason they decided to wait until nightfall to enter the plane,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I didn't think that was too realistic, but it made it more fun.
Yeah, because the kid said it's full of vampires or something like that, and so they decided to wait till night.
Right. Well, they didn't believe him because he was traumatized. They did give him a bear though. So,
Yeah,
and
and
in
it
the
also
bear,
it came
go
out
ahead.
that it came out that it was a anyway. The whole movie was kind of told as a flashback from the kid anyway,
Yeah. You didn't get
and
that?
and yeah, yeah. But as I said, I thought, oh, it's entertaining. I like that.
All right, so we got a thumbs up. That's 2 movies with thumbs up from Cub. That I think that's a record. I don't think we've ever had more than one.
Yeah, yeah. This is an entertainment thumbs up. It's not a thumbs up because these are great movies or something like that. It's just,
What do you think I meant by popcorn movies? I didn't say The Tomorrow War was a great movie. I said it was a popcorn movie,
but
a
the
fun summer
Tomorrow
romp.
doesn't get a thumb up from me. Greg.
No, I know. I know. But I was just making it clear that I
Yeah,
wasn't saying that was a great movie. That's what I meant by, you can sit back, turn your brain off, and enjoy it. Don't try to, figure out the time travel thing. Don't worry about the fact that Germany is filled with vampires or werewolves, and they're
yeah.
all on planes. Just
But they are not called vampires and werewolves here in Germany. They are called regular people.
yeah, right.
I don't
They're
know what you
regular
mean.
people.
Regular Germans.
Okay, so we still have the rest of our stuff to go. What do you know? The What If series with the
Oh my God.
Miss Britain. You made me watch that thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry for that. It was so boring. Oh my God. So we are talking about 30 minutes of animation with a what if story told from the perspective of the watcher, I think. It's
And this is
this,
on Disney Plus.
yeah, it's Disney Plus, and also it's complete wasted. I told that already in the digital pollution stream. Even back then, I haven't seen the episode, but just from knowing what this thing is about, I thought, that's a wasted opportunity. But more on that later. I would say short. What is this episode about? What if Captain Carter became Captain America? So yeah, and she's then called Captain Carter.
Instead
So
of there being a Captain America, she takes over and takes the injections that make her, what would you call her, Miss Britain or
I
Captain
would call
Britain?
her. It makes her a man with the head of a woman.
Yeah, what I noticed, this Peggy chick, she has a male body with the head of a woman, which
Yeah. So
if you look back, I think it's based on an original idea from like 1980 or something. In the original animation, it made her more feminine, but with strength. But of
yeah,
course, nowadays that's not seen as a good thing because the male gaze must be defeated. What I didn't dislike her as a character. What I did dislike was they played on the same old trope, which I knew they were going to do from the Captain America. I mean, the Captain Marvel movie. Did you see it? Where uh, basically the whole thing is men have kept her down her whole life. So of course she's made into this super strong character, but her American boss, who this whole program, $60 million, which is like $1 billion nowadays, and he's not even going to give her a chance to show her stuff because she's female. And so the patriarchy must be defeated. And they go through. I swear it's like a 20-minute show and a good chunk of it is eaten up with the she's getting belittled and whatnot about being female, and
Yeah,
it
yes,
made
and
it
it's
unbelievable to me
the
and
story
boring.
itself is the first Captain America movie kind of retold in 20 minutes. Because
Yes,
she has now the same adventure like Captain America in his first movie.
except they had to add in this she has to fight the patriarchy.
Yeah, and
I
she
mean,
does everything better. She even
oh, of
saves
course.
Bucky. She saves Bucky. And Captain America and here Steve Rogers is her damsel in distress kind of
Yeah, I was thinking
sidekick
more like a
whatsoever.
pet.
More like a pet, but he still becomes Iron Man or something like that.
Yeah, he does. Which wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't dislike her as a character. If they could have just cut out the oh, I've got to fight the patriarchy. If her boss hadn't, yeah, if they could have gotten rid of that, she was almost likable. It was almost a good story. I kind of liked her, but she had a man's body, and she was it's so boring. It's just the same freaking story. What these people can't tell a different story? They can't just. What if her boss had said, "Hey, let's give it a try"? You know what would have been more fun if they would have messed with her about being British instead of American. You know, he was American. If he'd been like, "Oh, you can't do it. It ain't because you're female. It's because you're British and you don't know what in the hell you're doing. We don't trust Brit."
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Admiral
that would
King
be
of
fun.
our Navy, he wouldn't work with the Brits because he was just anti-British. That would have been a perfect thing to do instead of the same boring. Oh, he
Yes,
hates
and
her
this is
because she's
what I
female.
meant on the digital pollution stream. Even before I watched this stupid episode, I said last week, it sounds to me like this is not a what if story. This is like the same story we get the last 10 years, or here the last 5 years, where everything where we have this gender swap the whole time, and we don't have proper female characters. We have instead we have women.
It's anti female what they're doing, because
Yeah.
you can't have a strong woman who has feminine traits. That's ridiculous. Women have their own strength and beauty, and it's not from being male.
Yes,
They shouldn't
it's
look
like
like us and sound like us.
it,
They
it
they do things in different ways, but that doesn't diminish them. And
yes,
the
you get
problem,
then
go
you get
ahead.
a character like Black Widow. Like the first one, not this stupid in her own movie where they completely destroyed the character. No, but in the first Avengers, you have a strong female character which is has to be much more intelligent than her male parts because she has not the strength, but she's still capable to do the job.
And they don't have to destroy the male characters around her to make her stronger, because that's always a major part of the thing. They have to diminish the male characters to build up the female, because they have no faith in their it basically it's a Frankenstein's monster they make. They chop up a male body, and then they stick a head on it, and they say, you must worship this thing.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm like, oh my God, can they not write a new story?
the sad thing is that the Captain Carter series itself, I watched it. I liked the first season. I didn't like the second season, but the character itself, it was already a good character. They could, they didn't. She didn't have. It's like with this Falcon guy. Falcon itself is a good character. I don't mind him as a superhero. You don't need to make Captain America out of him like they did here with Falcon and Winter
No,
Soldier.
but they have to race swap and gender swap. And let's just list talked about the MCU or what they're doing until now. Look at Hulk. Hulk is now going to be She-Hulk, and that they've already said that's part of Phase 4 of the MCU. Hulk is now female, and Iron Man is going to be, his suit's going to be taken over by his girlfriend, so it's going to be Iron Woman, and Thor is now going to be taken over by this little 90-pound girl who played his girlfriend. Now, you know who doesn't like this? The girls and women I know, Kathy and Dana and Bailey. They don't want to see all the guys like Thor. They like seeing a guy up there. They like Captain America. They like Thor. They don't want to see all these guys replaced by these uh, women who are basically written to be unlikable. They're not like any women we've ever seen. They act uh, they disrespect the guys around them. The women don't like it. Now, when we point out that these characters are unlikable, usually the first thing you hear is, "Oh, you're sexist. You don't like this. You don't like that." But it's the women around me who are saying, this isn't good. I don't like this. I don't want to see this. They don't want to watch it. They're telling me they're not going to watch this stupid shit. And I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you. I can't, they don't look like women. They don't act like women. And all the men that they liked in these deals are gone.
Yeah, and
So
by the way, Brent,
you can't
good night.
say that Kathy is sexist against women when she is a woman.
Greg, Brent is leaving us. So good
Oh,
night.
okay.
Brent.
Wait. It says this Brit has got to get ready for work tomorrow. Nice to have a stream with film and TV talk for a change. I really worked on that, Brent, and not the battle to belittle the normies. Thanks. Thank you, Brent. Thanks a lot. We really appreciated you being here.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, Greg, I agree 100%. And as you said, I also don't see women looking forward to that.
It's taken away their eye candy. It's taken away what they come to the show to see. They don't want to see women replacing all the guys. Then what do they? And not only that, it's women who make them look bad. The women up on screen are not acting like women. They're acting like not just men. They're acting like retarded men or something. These guys. The problem with these women who are super powered and can't have any men or men. We have to work within the group dynamic of other men and women, and we give and we take, and we have normal relationships. These are like some sort of super powered monsters who never had to work with. They're supposedly women, but they're actually men, and they're men who never had to like work within the framework of society. So they're not really men either. These are just poorly written, very boring characters.
Yes, and talking about really strong female characters, which are also interesting and very feminine, we watched also the second season of Warrior.
Yeah, we did. Let's get to that.
Yeah, but because I would say there's nothing more to say about this what if crap, because what I have seen, the upcoming episodes are kind of like the first one.
What are the rest of the episodes? Are they going to be following her adventures, or are we going to get a bunch of other what ifs?
Yeah, we get a bunch of other what ifs, but the same formula.
Are they all going to be just guys turned into girls?
Kind of what I've heard. I haven't seen it, of course, till now, but it looks like that we get with these what if stories exactly the same shit we already get with the normal stories, because I think one of these what if stories is going to be like this Loki series where we get a character completely destroyed again and as just a sidekick from of course better female one and things like that.
I guess we'll just wait and discuss them as they come up.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if when we get the time, we're going to maybe watch it. But I'm not looking forward to that because it was a boring slug. These 30 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have watched it if you hadn't made me watch it. But
Yeah, but let's see. Maybe
I'm going to give that a thumbs down. So that's my first thumbs down. Is this what if thing?
Yeah,
Miss Britain. I mean, I'm sorry, it was bad. Cub made me watch it, and I still hadn't fully recovered.
Yeah, yeah. This is the German revenge.
Yeah, right.
You have to watch this god awful crap. Yeah. So the only positive with this what if story is, of course, it's just 30 minutes and it's animated, so you don't have so much bad acting in there as usual. But still, it looks, yeah, it's still bad. So, Warrior season 2. So, as first off, what what do you think of season 2? Does it hold up to season 1?
I didn't think so. I thought it was a pretty bad drop off.
Oh, okay.
It was okay, but I thought they kind of went the woke route a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it it felt a little bit apart in the last, especially in the last episodes, where these characters started to make stupid decisions, which didn't make any sense.
Yeah, they didn't act like they were the same characters, did they?
Yeah, especially the last episode was really kind of a letdown. But overall, I think it deserves a recommendation. It's there were still a few some very good episodes in there,
There were.
and also it was we had in the first season we had this episode that seemed like unconnected to the other ones,
Well,
where
we
they had
really liked the first season. I think it disappointed me some. And to be fair, they were planning on doing a third season, but I think it got canceled because of the shutdown and stuff, and I don't think it's going to come back. So I think what we have is an unfinished story. Like they ended up with the mayor's wife who ends up uh, in an insane asylum.
yeah, and she got stupider with every episode. Her decisions
did.
became stupider and stupider, and it's constantly she went over to her husband, which she knows it's a piece of shit, but still she went over there, and also she was much too trusty when it came to this secretary here, the second mayor who became the first mayor at the end.
Yeah.
She was much too trusty with this guy, and also the storyline with her sister didn't make us. Was it her sister or her cousin? Or her?
Oh, the young. It must have been a cousin or something, right? It was a
Yeah.
relation.
This storyline with her didn't make any
Maybe
sense,
as a niece. I'm not sure.
because even if she why should she lead this other guy into the fabric of her father, which is the only reason her sister, or I just call them sisters, okay? Because I had
The writing didn't make sense.
yeah, but because she knows she can't. She first off she says, "Why did you marry this guy here?" She can't stand her husband, but obviously she knows that she just married him that her father gets the job here from the town.
Right.
It can't be a secret. I don't think so, because she was not stupid or something like that. And so this was a kind of a thing where which I didn't understand. I thought, but it's so obvious. She just married him because that her father doesn't have to close his fabric, and so why this is not a secret. And so that was the first thing, but then she made everything after her sister got kind of independent with the fabric, earned kind of her own money. Then she destroyed the fabric, so she has to run back to her husband. So I didn't understand why. Did you understand why she did that?
No, it was just a contrivance.
Yeah, Yeah. So that was the first thing, and also then
They
we got
wrote themselves into a corner, and they just, like the Deus Ex Machina, that they just made it up.
Yeah, and also it becomes a little bit repetitive when this guy, the goal of the second mayor was the whole time, oh, I want chaos whatsoever, and
It didn't make sense.
yeah,
They were trying to play on the whole Trump thing. They thought they were being clever.
yeah, maybe
That's what that was. I'm pretty sure. I could
okay.
sense it.
Oh, okay, now it makes sense because
Yeah, do you see it through the lens of the Trump and the immigrants, and you see what they were trying to do?
okay, yeah. So yeah,
That's why you had the racist people, flinging obscure insults, and it was just it's the way the people see the past and try to project it. They're just bad writing, and they were trying to inject current political things into their deal, which is stupid. It ruins it. Imagine that you're writing like kung fu in the 70s, and you're going to inject a Watergate or something into it. You're going to ruin your series for somebody trying to watch it 50 years later. You know what I mean? It won't make any sense at all.
Yeah, I exactly know what you mean. But let's talk about some positives about the second
All
season.
right.
First off, this is complaining on a high level because still, I think it's very entertaining, even
It is an entertaining series.
with its flaws. And also the second season, I thought because the first season had this one episode which played here in this saloon whatsoever with the buddy. Can you remember where it seemed like this was an filler episode or something like that, which was not connected?
That's the one where they went out of town?
Yeah, when they went out of town.
That was my favorite episode.
Yeah, still, but it was still well made, and it was very good, even if it was kind of not connected to the overall story.
The fight scenes are very well done. You've got the whole story with the Irish and
and now I have to say, as a plus for the second season, they had kind of a similar thing in the second season with the Mexican episode, but this time they could connect it to the overall plot much better than in the first season. So it doesn't felt completely like a not connected episode, like just a side adventure or something like that. It was really it has a real connection to the overall story. It was really a very important episode. So yeah,
that's true. I agree with all that. I thought the way that the Irish cop's wife treated him, leaving him, and all this stuff, it didn't play out like I think it didn't feel real. I think she would have stuck with him more because she had all those kids. She had no means of support, and she's leaving him. At the time that most of these, if you did that, they would have found another woman, and then you would have been stuck with no support at all.
Yes, this was.
It didn't seem believable to me.
Yeah, it was really another thing.
It was a way to belittle it.
Yeah, which didn't fit really good. But for the positives, I really like the fight scenes, which were shown there. Because here our main character, he is now kind of a Fight Club fighter.
Yeah.
And he made kind of a new arc. He became a new arc. He started again from zero. But then he was again a member of because of his friendship that was established in the first season with the son of the leader of this group. And yeah, the second season kind of shows the overtaking from the son of his father, that he becomes the new leader at the end, which I kind of liked the arc there. It was,
and the acting was good too.
Yeah, the acting was good, and also he became kind of the main character in some episodes, so that our real main character kind of stepped to the side a little bit, and then there was this stupid picture from him on the wall, which really didn't make any sense because it kind of appeared out of nowhere. And because to draw that, this takes time, because it shows him in a position where he was fighting against this horde that came into Chinatown, and he tried to defend his people, but there was really not enough time to draw this picture, because it was kind of at the next day or something.
Oh, right.
Like
The artwork up on the building.
Yeah. And also it looked cheap and kind of cheesy. Kind of like a reminder who is the real main character here. Because in the second season, I thought the most important character was the son of this leader.
Gang leader.
Gang leader. He became the main character, at least story-wise. And
they even brought in another fighter who became kind of like him in the first season.
Yes, they even, which I didn't mind really.
No, it was well done, but just following your lead on that.
Yeah, it was well done, but again, they had to cram some woke shit in there, because this new fighter, he's gay. And of course, they have to point that out the whole time, and to make some statement. I don't know why.
And
because
of course,
back then,
not only that, but the Chinese lady who's buying property all over the place, the white guy who she trusts, of course, betrays her.
Of course, he betrays her, even if he knows that she's dangerous as hell, because that was already established. He was
very dangerous.
Yeah, he was a coward, and it doesn't make sense for him, for his character.
No,
it doesn't make
out
sense
of nowhere,
take this risk.
because she wants to cash out. He should have been quite happy. She was giving him plenty of money, but now for some unknown reason, basically he's going to betray her, hire these guys to kill her. So you have to fight with, and then of course she doesn't kill him. It's just and
this could have been worked if they would have established that he has a kind of problem, a gambling problem or something like that.
Right, but they didn't. They brought that out of nowhere.
Yeah, they brought that out of nowhere. And so he hired these contract.
But you knew, I knew they were going to do that, because he was a white guy and she was Chinese lady, and so he was going to betray her, because all the white guys, except, you notice the one Southern guy is the only good white guy in the whole series.
Yes, at least with his arc, they also kind of messed a little bit, because he has had this accident, or he was a victim.
Oh yeah, he was attacked, and he wasn't the same after that. No,
he wasn't the same. So I give this kind of a pass, because at least it comes not out of nowhere. Because when you have a traumatic experience, brain injury, and it make a little bit sense that he becomes,
even the Southerner, can have problems.
Yeah, so it makes a little bit sense, at least, that he becomes kind of addicted to drugs to lower his pain and so on, and that's where he becomes corruptible and things like that. But still, it's
it was disappointing though.
Yeah,
because I really liked the first season, and I didn't want to say anything bad about the second season, but I got to be honest.
Yeah, but still, every episode is enjoyable, entertaining. Still, uh, these minor flaws, they as a whole they come up. It's really not during watching it. You are really invested in the story and want to see what is going on. I was the whole time entertained, at least. It is a step down from the first season, but still, if they would have made a third season, I would watch it. I would
Yeah,
look forward.
maybe they will.
Yeah, maybe they
you
will.
could start a letter writing campaign.
Yeah, sure. In Chinese.
Right, from Germany. That'll impress them.
Yes. Yeah, I would say a recommendation from us both, or not.
Yeah, thumbs up from us both. Although a little not as high a thumbs up as the season 1.
Yeah, and really, it's also I was reminded during watching the second season that there is really nothing else out there to enjoy. Most
right,
of the other
that's why I've been trying to give you some stuff that you might be able to enjoy. You know, some stuff we can recommend. We're trying really hard to find something out there y'all guys might like.
Yeah, something like Hell on Wheels.
And speaking of Hell on Wheels, that would be a good one. We'll have to discuss that in the future. Trailers, movie trailers.
Yes.
Speaking of stuff we can look forward to, which movie trailers have you watched, and what did you think of them?
Yeah, I have to remind myself a little bit. Of course, I've watched this Dune trailer, which seems like I'm not looking forward to it. But I'm also not saying, oh, this is the worst thing ever made or something like that. It's just meh. I was not really impressed. I thought it's very long.
You've seen the original Dune from the 80s, I'm sure.
Yes, I watched it.
Have you read the book? What do you think of Dune as a work of art?
I haven't read the book. I didn't finish it back then. I started it. I've tried to read it in English, and back then my English was not that good. It was too hard to read. Too hard to read in English, so I gave up.
Kind of complex.
Yeah, and the movie itself I liked back then as a child in the cinema, and I rewatched it as an adult and thought it is still okay. It's not really a masterpiece or something like that. And what I've heard from the story, I saw some reviews on the book, and I thought, yeah, this story, it sounds very complex, and I see why Lynch made these changes in the script, but I didn't have the feeling that Dune is this big cinematic franchise. I see it really more on TV than on the big screen, because there are just too many political things in it, which I don't know. I don't feel this is it's not a Star Wars or something like that. Not even a Star Trek. It's really more its own thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's got religion. It's got politics. It's got it's hard to describe, but I think that's well put. I looked at the trailer and I liked the trailer. I've read the book. I've seen the movie, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just being optimistic, but right now I'm cautiously optimistic that it's going to be a good movie.
Okay, and I'm not really looking forward to it, but
what else are you going to do, Cub?
I'm not seeing, but also I'm not seeing a turd there or something like that. It's just the trailer itself didn't grab me. I was
kind of a wait and
bored.
see.
Yeah, I was kind of bored a little bit because it's a very long trailer. Second one, it's 3.5
But Cub
minutes.
is easily bored.
Yeah, I'm easily bored, and
His mind is always working. So you
also
don't give him.
some of the actors choices I don't know. David Batista, I don't really see
I
that
don't know either,
as a
but
character.
I'm trying to be
And
positive. So yes,
and also the main character, I didn't mind him, but also I don't see this leading qualities there.
do
Not
you know when it's coming out?
think my
Soon?
last information was here Christmas or something like. But I don't know really.
That's
I
a long
thought
way
maybe
off.
December, but maybe I'm wrong because I didn't
So
follow
maybe
it.
a stream.
Huh? What?
Maybe we can cover the movie on our Christmas stream.
Yeah, maybe. But as I said, I haven't. I didn't because they changed the time so many times that I have no clue when it comes out. Really, it's like with the James Bond movie. There was also another TV, very short TV trailer for it, 30 seconds or something like that, and I have no clue what this means. Does it mean that it comes out now or what? I don't know. Because it's also a movie that constantly is pushed ahead, and I don't know.
So we've got Halloween Kills coming out pretty soon.
Yeah.
You've seen the trailer on that and weren't impressed, right?
Yeah. Because I was also from the last one not impressed. So yeah, no surprise there. Halloween Kills, I even scratched my Halloween review because I wanted to make a new Halloween review, including this new one in October. But
Oh, that'll be cool.
yeah, but no, because I have I decided to make a Stephen King series instead, and made a new here from his short story collections, because I already talked about Night Shift. This is 20 short stories, but there's another short story collection. It's called Skeleton Crew, and it has 23 stories, even more than
So
Night
that's
Shift.
what you're doing for Halloween?
Kind of. That's what I replaced
Or
Halloween
like right
with.
before Halloween?
I can tell you, my Stephen King review marathon begins in November.
Okay, so right after Halloween.
Yeah, it begins with Running Man, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Do y'all have Halloween over there?
Seven reviews, Stephen King reviews. Then
I think you did tell me y'all do like trick or treating and
yeah, and on Halloween itself, it is going to be The Mist for some reason. But this is just a coincidence, because there are 7 Stephen King reviews in a row, and then I make a break to talk about the new Ghostbusters, the new Cube, because they made a new Cube movie, a Japanese one, and the new Resident Evil movie. And after that, I'm going to continue again with Stephen King movies. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because there were three Stephen King reviews, which I had to make this break because I want to talk about this new stuff, and I'm going to continue with that next year. That's the plan. Good. Yeah, that's at least the plan. And so I thought, because next year the third Halloween is also coming out, and I thought I make the Halloween reviews next year, but instead of making 2 Halloween reviews, I make 3. I make a third video, and redo also the old ones. So we have my Halloween. We're talking about trilogies, Greg. These 2 Halloween videos are becoming a trilogy. They get a third one.
all right, that worked.
Yeah, and the third one, of course, contains the new Halloween. Here, the last one, the one that comes out this year, and the one that comes out next year, because it's supposed to be a trilogy whatsoever, and that's my plan, at least. But who knows how this goes? you every time we get changes, and yeah, so much for Halloween, and so much for Dune, I would say. This is a surprise one. Maybe it's good. Who knows? We are going to watch it, of course, and tell you.
So are there any other trailers you wanted to cover?
Yes. Could you take a look at Free Guy and tell me what Free Guy is about?
Well, basically, you have somebody who's in like a non-player character in a open game environment.
So Ready Player One, kind of?
Yeah, kind of like that. But if you've ever played in a video game where you can go do various things and you'll have background characters, well, he's like a background character and he decides to alter what's happening.
Huh?
I haven't seen the movie yet. I've only seen like
Yeah.
the trailer, so I can't tell you exactly. I might actually go to the movies and see that thing because
Okay.
it doesn't look like a bad movie from the trailer, and I just got like a good feeling about it, like it might be okay, And I want to go to the movies and see some movies. Me and Kathy, used to go 2 times a month or more, and we hadn't been able to go because our theaters are all shut down and they're just coming back up, and there hadn't been nothing out to see. You know what I mean?
Yes, and this Free Guy trailer, I didn't care for it. Even the one that came out a year before, I think last year or something like that.
Maybe the trailer's not doing it justice. Maybe it's going to be a good movie.
No, but I don't care for it, but I also don't mind it. I think
so
it's one of these movies where I think when I see
you've
the
got to
trailer,
watch it. I think you got to watch the movie. I don't think the trailer's going to do it justice.
It's just there, kind of, and yeah, I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. The trailer itself didn't grab me because I don't care for
I
these.
agree. You can't make a judgment call from the trailer on this one.
Yeah, because I don't care also for this gaming stuff. I really don't care for this gaming stuff. So, but who knows?
I do some gaming, but not a lot, but some. So it could be good. I'm gonna just say I'm keeping an open mind, and we'll both try to watch it, and we'll get to it next stream.
Yes, and at least I'm more interested in Free Guy than in, for example, Shang-Chi or something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I don't care for at all.
It looks terrible.
Yeah, even if the John Chinaman is in there.
Okay, so do we have another trailer?
Yes, the new Venom trailer. Venom 2.
Okay.
Venom,
so what do you think of that?
Venom Boogaloo. I couldn't stand the first one. I rented on it in my Spider-Boy review. I don't think it's the worst movie ever made. It's just right in the middle. It's just there. I don't care for the character. I don't care for the jokes. And the second one, it doesn't even look as good as the first one. I think the CGI looks terrible in the trailer. And also, I think we see a big chunk of the story in the trailer. It spoils the whole movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the trailer even ends with kind of beginning of the end fight. You get the whole story there in the trailer. I haven't seen the movie yet, but it looks like
I hate when trailers do that, don't you?
Yeah, I hate that too. So it would be better if I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and I didn't enjoy the first movie either, so it's hard for me to be fair.
Yeah, and like kind of looked like that they put the worst scenes in the trailer because the jokes didn't really work. The Venom character comes off very unlikable because he does unnecessary mean stuff in the trailer to people. Maybe because we don't know the context of the scenes. I don't know. But
Yeah, like in Captain Marvel where she's punching an old lady. Maybe we just, don't realize that, the old lady's really a bad guy.
yeah, who knows? I don't know. And yeah, going to
But
watch it.
Captain Marvel was very unlikable no matter what the story was,
Yeah, and when she stole the motorbike from the guy, and
right? If
yeah.
we'd seen the scenes they cut, she was even more unlikable. Right?
Yeah, but no, it's a very important, famous character, which the first movie made so much money and was so successful that it doesn't even get a continuation.
Right? It's very weird.
Yeah, there's no Captain Marvel 2, it's the Marvels.
I think that's the biggest indication that there was some something strange going on with the numbers.
Yeah, really, because it has to be so embarrassing for this actress, uh, because she's the only one that doesn't get a part 2. Every other property got, even Ant-Man got a part 2, and yet now even a part
Right?
3 or whatever, and she's the only one, just one off. So yeah, I'm sure she was so successful, and with, especially with audiences, with male audiences, who are, by the way, the
Okay.
guys who go to the movies.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Yeah.
I think that might do it for our show today. You got anything else?
Wait a second. I think there was just one trailer. But I don't know. No, the Ghostbusters trailer. Who cares? Again, we have to see the movie, talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll give it a fair review.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I would say that's it.
That sounds good.
Yes. So this time it's a little bit shorter than usual. Maybe also because of the circumstances. Talk about that maybe next time a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so thanks for watching, and I would say see you next time, probably after RoboCop or after Starship Troopers, I would say. Or what do you think, Greg?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, these are two upcoming reviews. The next one is Body Snatchers, and after that RoboCop, and after that Starship Troopers. So maybe we do one between Starship Troopers and RoboCop, or after Starship Troopers, I would say.
Yeah.
But we have to figure out when it fits best.
That sounds good. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate you people out there. And goodbye from Texas.
Yeah, and goodbye from Germany. Bye.